Hello and welcome to Bring On the Medicine, a holistic healer summit. My name is Janae Robinson. I am the owner of Janae's Essentials in Burley, Idaho. I am a life coach, a yoga therapist, and the host of this summit. I am here with Teresa Zemke. Teresa is a massage therapist, coach, survivor, healer, and straight up truth teller. She is a mother and one who is thriving with DID. She has walked through fire more than once and came out the other side with a heart full of hope, hands that heal, and a mouth that speaks what others are too scared to say. She believes in laughing loud, loving deep, and holding space for every part of who she is, including the gritty, messy, and magical. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you, Janae. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm really happy to have you. I have a ton of notes here today
Let's dive in.
Yeah, for our talk. So I'm really excited to have you here. And the first question I wanted to ask you is, what led you to your coaching career?
Janae, thank you for asking that. So as I have been a massage therapist for 24 years, I think that is something that has naturally come with my my career, but it's also it's really what I needed for myself at the time. I had things happening to me that I couldn't understand, and it was terrifying and it was scary. And so it was my own healing journey that led me to life coaching. I know what it feels like to feel lost in trauma, but I also know what it feels like to heal. And that has been powerful for me. I hold hope for survivors, even when they can't. And every part of us holds space. I became a life coach to guide others through their healing, helping them move from trauma to triumph, because it's possible.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And you do have a very unique story of trauma that led to this deep healing and the diagnosis of DID. Could you explain your system for those who are unfamiliar with DID and tell us how you function day to day?
Sure. So DID is dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. DID is a survival response to extreme trauma. My system consists of 6 different parts: 2 males, 3 females, and a little, each with their own purpose, emotions, and strengths. We are a system that loves moving our bodies in different forms. And without that constant moving of hiking and CrossFit, extreme adventures, we all love adventures. So sorry, my parts like to jump out. But dancing and healing and self-expression, where today, after 6 years, it feels more like a feeling of wholeness and union of forever friends and spiritually connected. We've learned to use experimental evidence where we're supported with base transpersonal interventions from trauma recovery and resilience. And transpersonal interventions from trauma recovery, it looks like for us is prayer, meditation, breath work, music, art, movement, immersion in nature, or other known as biophilia and earthing. We are also a system of dissociative writers. It's been a safe place to express, and that's how we connect with each other. It's how I learned who each of them are, how they were developed, what their triggers are, what their memories are, because we all hold different memories. I had to learn how to make a system map. That was a way to build a bridge for all parts to come together, rather than seeing it as a disorder. Fuck off, I don't have a disorder. That's frank.
Hi,
Frank
Frank.
believes that we don't have a disorder. Um, I see it as an incredible ability, actually, and or a superpower, and that's how we choose to look at it. Um, every part of me has helped me survive. And the biggest thing that I have learned is we don't have to be fully healed to be a great therapist. There are other successful people out there that may have DID and function with DID, but don't speak of it. And I choose to bring awareness to it because it's important to me. It's really impacted in my life, and it's something that I will forever live with. Day to day, I focus on internal communication, self-awareness, and allowing each part to be what they need to be. And sometimes with that, you get little bloopers, that my people want to talk. They want to be heard and seen. I've created inner worlds of healing my parts, learning who we are, each of us. And that was the biggest discovery, is that each one of us come to the table with something different. And the inner world with DID system is a world inside a headspace where headmate, selves, insiders, alters, parts live when not fronting. A safe place, if you will. Inner worlds help be fun, safe, and interesting space for selves to be relax, decompress, and rejuvenate. It's also important to have a meeting room for parts to come together, and I call mine the conference room.
I love that. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the conference room? I would like to know a little bit about that.
So a conference room is when each of us feel erotic. We're all over the place. I have a mediator. My mediator is Patricia, where she's the wise talk. She comes and brings peace when it feels messy. And so inside my head, it's this big long table, and we get to sit together as a team to come together and decide what feels right, what feels like it's just jumbo, it's just chaoticness. And that's where Patricia steps in and she softens the room. She softens everyone else in a calm order. Patricia is also like very straight business. There's no BS with her.
I love that. Yeah, I love that because the personalities, the alters, what do you call them? What do you prefer?
Parts. Mine are parts. So
yeah.
for a long time, I've called them alters. And that just made them feel like they weren't a whole, right? They weren't connected. So they are parts. They're my parts.
They are you. Yes, they are parts of you.
Every single one of them.
Yes. And they are very well defined, which is such a beautiful thing to see. And I feel that DID often is a hidden condition.
It's very hidden, and not the world doesn't really know about it, right? No. And it's mocked and it's misdiagnosed.
Yes. And it's very misunderstood as well. I think there's a lot of fear around it. And where I feel that I'm so appreciative of you coming on and really telling our viewers, telling me about more of you and what this is. And because I feel that when we have information, then we have understanding, an opportunity for understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be truthful, for so long, for 6 years of my diagnosis, I had maybe a whole handful of people that I was open with it about, because it's like people just don't understand what it is, right? You can look at somebody and see, oh, well, they're autistic, or they have super bad anxiety, what have you. you can't look at me and say, oh, there's six different people up in her head as well, because to the naked eye, I look normal.
Right. Right. Yeah, I remember when you had created a Facebook post about
Yes.
diagnosis, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is incredible." And you had announced that you were certified as a life coach, and I just thought, this is someone that, because when did you do that? I think I had already put was putting this summit together, and I just thought I would love to have Teresa come on and do this, but it was very recent.
It was recent. Yeah, I recently just stepped out because I I lived in darkness for a very long time. And I thought I had to keep this, all to myself and it was never going to be accepted. Well, here's the truth. I accept all of me now, and that is the most valuable thing. Um, and so, yeah, I went really brave and big, and I announced it, and still, people have no idea what it was. I did a conference, Healing Together with DID, and I also did the educational training on it so that I can be an advocate. I can speak about this. And that opened up a whole new world for a voice to be heard. And, for the first time recently, I had discovered that there is someone locally that also has DID, and I have yet to meet her yet. I'm excited to. But when I found out that, oh my gosh, there's someone here that also shares this, it was like, a ride to Disneyland inside my head. Everyone was like, oh, we have friends. We have people who understand. And I haven't yet to meet her. And I hope to. I'm just working and navigating through some other things that I have yet to get to that place. But it was an excitement inside that everyone was like, we are going to be seen and heard. And there's more out there because I've been
Yes,
living alone with this,
yes,
not even knowing I've never met another soul that
yes.
has it.
And I feel that when we start our journey of transformation, whatever it is, any person, when they start a journey of transformation, there
Uh-huh.
is a shedding that happens. There is a loneliness that happens. There are those feelings of, oh my gosh, how did I not know this about myself? I have all this that I feel that I need to change. Am I going to be accepted within my family, my friends, my
Mhm.
even a marital relationship, even our children, those types of things. And I know for myself as a life coach, I tell my clients that I will never ask you to do something that I have not done. I will never,
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what's wonderful is that, when we can find those souls that
Mhm.
understand us fully because they're living the same way we do, even just in a spiritual journey, that's hard enough. But a spiritual journey and having DID, that's the numbers, the odds are fewer and fewer and fewer. So
Yep.
I really hope that that meeting works out for you as well. I think that would be a beautiful thing.
I do too. I do
Yeah.
too. And I hope that as her and I maybe come together and we can build on those common grounds of what we have suffered with in
Yeah.
silence.
Yes.
And that is why I've agreed to do this
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
no longer want to live in that silence.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
And speaking of that trauma, that really
Mhm.
leads into the next question that I have for you. The duration and the extent of trauma that creates DID, in just the
Ah,
study that I've done on it, it exceeds PTSD, CPTSD. Your system set itself up as a coping skill for survival. I mean, literally, these different parts of you were to so you could survive. And so, the question is like, with or without details, because I want you to feel fully comfortable here. Could you speak to that? in any way.
I would love, I would love to actually. DID forms when a child experience prolonged trauma at an age when they didn't have the ability to process it. And if you don't mind, I would like to share a little inside story.
Yes, please.
From darkness to light, my journey of survival and strength. I was born into a world of chaos. My earliest memories are not of warmth or love, but of survival. My parents were addicts, consumed by their own demons, having little room for safety and innocence of that a child deserves. Abuse was not just possibility. It was the foundation of my world. At 2.5 years old, I suffered a brutal attack when a pit bull tore my face apart. It was a moment that should have been met with compassion and care. But in the home I was raised in, there was no such thing. By the time I was 3, the horrors only deepened. The unthinkable happened. My father stole from me what no child should ever have to endure. The justice system intervened when I was 6, but there was no justice. Both of my parents were sent to prison, and I was thrown into foster care, into the system, a place that was supposed to offer refuge, but instead became another battleground. Through the years, I went through home to home, each placement bringing new forms of abuse and instability. The very system that was meant to protect me became a cage and an absolute nightmare to survive. By the time I was 15, I'd had enough. I was passed around like I was just a piece of chocolate, old, yucky, stomped on. Nobody actually wanted me. I had had enough. The courts, the foster homes, the failed promises. I wanted out. I found a way out for myself, severing the last ties to a system that had failed me so profoundly. At 16, I was completely on my own. At 17, I was living the life of a 30-year-old woman. I met the father of my children, and at 18, I married him. I never knew what it was like to feel love. I was used and abused in every way possible. On my 1-year anniversary, that foundation of my marriage crumbled as I discovered the man that I had committed myself to was living a lie. That betrayal also cut me deep, but it was just another battle in the war that I had been fighting my entire life. Through all of this, I'd faced my own struggles with addiction, pain, and pain has a way of demanding an outlet for a time that I sought relief in ways that only deepened the wounds. But I refused to allow it to define me. I clawed my way out, refusing to be consumed by the darkness that had tried to swallow me whole. Despite everything, every scar, every betrayal, every moment that should have broken me, I found my greatest purpose in being a mother. My children became my light, my reason, my proof that love could exist beyond suffering. They saved me in ways I never thought possible. And today I stand more than just a survivor. I am a warrior. I have faced hell and I have refused to stay there. My past does not define me, my strength does. And I will continue to rise. Unbreakable, the woman I became. By the time I was 28, I had done what many thought impossible. I had built something on my own. And at this time, I had no idea about my friends because they didn't show, they lay dormant. And I built something of my own after being controlled, abused, and tossed to the side. I took control. I opened up my own business, creating a path not just for my survival, but for my success. But success never comes without sacrifice. And as I poured my energy into my work, my marriage of 10 years came to an end. Suddenly, I was facing a new challenge of learning how to be a single mother while running my business. And for the first time in my life, truly discovering who I was. It wasn't easy. There were moments I felt like I was drowning, moments where the weight of responsibility, heartbreak, and exhaustion felt unbearable. I felt as though I had already lived a lifetime of lives. But each time I was knocked down, I did what I always done. I got back up. And then I fell in love again. And a man who seemed to be my second chance, my happily ever after. I believed in the promise of love that would finally be safe. But 5 months in, that illusion shattered. What I thought was love turned into the worst fucking nightmare of my life when he brutally beat me and left me for dead. That pain was unbearable, but I refused to let it be the end of me. I survived, I healed, and I kept moving forward. But that looked different than it ever did. Life wasn't done testing me. In 2020, my car burned to the ground, another loss, another setback. And then in 2021, I found myself homeless. It felt like rock bottom again, but I knew better than to give up. I had faced worse. I had survived worse. And just like every time, I rebuilt. I found my way into a beautiful home, a space that became my sanctuary, and I picked up the broken pieces and I put them back together, not as the woman I had been, but as the woman I was becoming, stronger, wiser, unshakable, and completely different. Today, I stand here healed, not fully, not just from the wounds of my past, but from everything that was meant to break me. Every trial, every betrayal, every heartbreak, they did not destroy me. They shaped me. I am living proof that no matter how many times life tries to take you out, you can rise again. And that's exactly what I've done. In this time, I'm standing taller than ever, and I'm speaking so loud. Because rising beyond that storm, the last 4 years have been the most transformative of my life. And for the first time, I have truly felt what it means to be healed, to be at peace, to be in control, and not just my circumstances, but of myself and my parts. I have done the deep work, the kind of work that most people run from. I have taken accountability for my past, my choices, my patterns, my broken cycles that were never mine to carry. And I have learned to sit with pain, to understand it, and to release it. I have turned my unhealthy addictions into something powerful, life-giving. CrossFit became a therapy, an outlet. I learned to honor my body instead of punishing it. I started feeling myself with the right foods, treating my health as a priority instead of an afterthought. And through it all, I poured every ounce of love into my boys, watching them grow, thrive, and step in their own young men has been the greatest joy of my life. But healing doesn't look perfect, Janae. It's not about perfection. I've made mistakes and I have fallen 1,000 times. But every single time I stand back up. And I now face another challenge just recently. I got my first DUI And in that moment, it shook me because my reasoning of doing so wasn't to be out drinking and driving, but it was to be a protection for my son. And that was a moment that cost me things that money can't replace. And it's a hard truth to swallow. And another lesson I never wanted, but I have to face. But I refuse to let this define me. It will not be my undoing, and it will not be the end of my story. Because I know who I am. I know I am not my past. I know I am not my failures. I am the woman who rises every single fucking time. This is just another moment to grow, to learn, and to become stronger than before. And trust me, I will. In a life of purpose. 24 years, I have dedicated myself to healing others through the power of touch, using massage therapy, not just as my profession, but also as a way of bringing relief, comfort, and connection to those in need. But in my journey of healing has expanded beyond the physical. I have stepped into a world of life coaching, mental health coaching, and being a voice for DID that is deepening my purpose and broadening my reach. And because my trauma has brought me to a place that I'm tired of living in a world that I have to be silent because I'm afraid of what people will think. I don't exactly know where this path will lead me, but I do know what's next. What I feel in the deepest part of me is that I was made strong for a reason. I went through horrendous things and now have parts and multiple people in my head so that I can allow others to get their voice heard. God has carried me through fire, not just to survive, but to help others rise from their ashes. And sure, it's been lonely. It's been hard. It's been hard accepting that I will never be normal in what society says it is. There have been moments where I have questioned everything, moments where the weight of life has felt unbearable. And now, as my son chooses to live with his father, my heart aches in a way I can't put into words. Because my boys are the healthiest, most consistent parts of me. They are my anchor, my greatest accomplishments, the proof that despite everything, love always wins. But even in the heartbreak, I choose faith. I choose trust. I choose to believe this too is just a part of a bigger plan, one I may not understand, but one day we'll see clarity in. One day I hope to make a real difference, not just in the lives I touch, but in the world itself. A world where we no longer speak from brokenness, fear, shame, or rejection, but from love. Because in the end, love is the only thing that truly matters. And that is the legacy I tend to leave. A fire that never dies. I have an undying love for life. And I fought so hard time and time again to be here. Something I never thought possible after the pain that I've endured. But here I am, standing in the middle of it, with big smiles on my face and sometimes big alligator tears. I am breathing it in. I'm feeling it in my bones. And even after everything, I love the shit out of it. I love life with every passion so deep that not even the darkest nights could extinguish it. I don't waste time pointing fingers. I don't sit in bitterness or blame. I pray. I believe. And I hold on to faith that brighter days are always ahead, no matter how heavy the storms may seem. And I share my story, not for sympathy, not for attention, but because I know somewhere out there, there is someone in the middle of their own storm, feeling like they won't make it through. And maybe, just maybe, my journey, my scars, my refusal to give up will be the light that they keep going. If my pain, my healing, my resilience can help even just one person rise, then every hardship I've ever faced has all been worth it. And let's be honest, Janae, I'm not a taco. I can't make everybody happy. But happiness, that's something I've fought for, something I've bled for, risen for. The fire inside me is something beyond what words can capture, beyond heaven or hell. It's a blaze fueled by my desire to live a life of fulfillment, of love, joy, and of purpose. And I am here, and I am alive, and I am on fire with this life, and I refuse to let anything or anyone dim that light. It's a love that never fades. And one day, I hope my boys truly understand. Understand no matter how broken their mother may have once was, no matter how crazy she may have seemed at times, my life purpose was fulfilled the very moment they took their first breath. That they were my saving grace, my reason, and the purest form of love I have ever known. And through every storm, through every hardship, they were my light, and they always will be. And I know that some people look at me and see chaos. They call me crazy and psychotic. And guess what? I am. And I wear those as a badge of honors because I am proud of that. I am proud that I have survived so many things that tried to take my life. They whisper about things that they don't understand, and I let them. They don't know the battles I have fought, the demons I have faced, or the strength that it has took to keep going. And what they fail to realize, I am not a woman who will ever lie helpless in the pit of hell. If I ever go down, it will be with fire in my soul, with the wrath and fury of God on my side. I will not be defeated. And to my clients, the ones who come seeking healing, they may have not realized that in helping them, they have also helped me. They don't know, most of them, that there's multiple of us that work on them. That even in the darkest moments, when my own heart has been breaking over and over again, bringing them relief and comfort has brought me joy. Their healing has been a part of my own. And to my siblings and family, I hope they always know the love of their little sister, that no matter where life has taken us, no matter the distance or the time that has passed, my love for them has never wavered. They may not always understand me because we've all lived different lives, but I hope they always feel my love because it is real and it's forever. My story is far from over. My fire still burns fiercely, and I will continue to rise, love, and live unapologetically and with everything that I have. Perfectly imperfect and unbreakably resilient. I have never claimed to be perfect, not as a woman, not as a sister, not as a woman in business of healing, not as a friend, and certainly not as a mother. I have never pretended to have all the answers, never once acted like I had it all figured out, although people may have built their own illusion. My life has been a whirlwind of full-blown, unapologetic shit show. And I own every single step and every single moment of that. But if there is one thing I will never deny, one thing that no one can ever take from me, is my resilience. I have been dragged through hell back and back more times than I can count. I have been knocked down, abandoned, betrayed, left for dead, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I've made mistakes, I've fallen short, and I have had to face some of the hardest truths about myself. And yet here I stand. Every time life has tried to break me, I have risen. Every time I've been counted out, I have proven that I am still here, still fighting, still standing stronger than ever. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. I am raw, I am real, I am unfiltered, I am flawed, and I have 6 best friends inside my head that also have a voice. And no matter what comes next, no matter what storms may try to shake me, one thing is certain: I will rise again and again, because resilience isn't just something I have, it's who I am. A love like Jesus. I want to love like Jesus. I want to wrap my arms around every single broken soul and remind them that they are seen, that they are worthy, that they are not alone. Because I know what it feels like to be shattered, to feel abandoned, to wonder if anyone truly cares, to wonder if anybody can truly accept me for who I am. And because I know that pain, I never want another person to feel unseen in their own suffering. But I also know that sometimes I couldn't be the umbrella for someone else because I was barely holding my own above my head. There were moments I had nothing left to give, moments where I was drowning in my own storms. And while that used to make me feel guilty, I've come to understand that even in those times, love never left me. It was still there, still waiting for me to find my way back, with 6 beautiful people to stand and embrace me. I know it may be hard to understand, because I know the love inside me is not just mine. It's something greater. It's something divine. It's a love so beautiful, so pure, that even life tried to beat it out of me. It remained. They remained. And now I choose to let that love be my guide, not my pain, not my anger, and not my fear. Just love of 6 best friends that kept me alive. A love that heals, a love that forgives, and a love that never gives up. This is the love I will give to the world. Because you don't just get me. You get a total of 7 and a legacy of light. One day, I hope my grandchildren look at me and say, she is one badass grandma. Someone who never backed down, someone who never gave up, and someone never stopped believing in the beauty of life, no matter how many storms tried to steal it from her. I don't want to just be remembered, I want to be felt. I want my presence, my spirit, my love to live long after I am gone. I want to be the sunshine that broke through the darkness, the warmth that wrapped around people when they needed it most. Every single person who crosses my path, I want them to leave feeling lighter, seen, and a little more whole, just as they are, even if it comes with multiples and even if it looks a little crazy to what society says is normal. I want them to know that even in the middle of The hardest moments, there's always hope, always love, and always something worth fighting for. Because if there is one thing I know for certain, it's that the light inside of me was never meant to be hidden. And I'm tired of hiding it. I want to shine so bright it blinds people. It was meant to be shared. And when my time here is done, I pray my legacy is simple. She loved, she fought, she rose, and she shined brighter than the sun.
Can I just go like this? Do we even need any more? That was so incredibly beautiful and from the heart. And I mean, I'm shedding tears over here. And I hear so much. It's the dark night of the soul. It's the phoenix rising. It is acceptance of self and self-love beyond any measure that I think that any of us ever even thought was possible. Thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
That was a lot to take in.
You know what? Anybody that's listening, if you need to rewind and listen to that again, that was some powerful stuff. And I have mentioned this in one of the other interviews, is that when you have a coach that has gone through a dark night of the soul, when you have somebody that has lived in basically a war zone, when you have had someone who had to survive, chose to survive, that is a coach that you want on your side. That is somebody that you want on your team. I have very deep, deep respect for you, Teresa. Very, very deep respect for you.
Thank you, Janae.
You're welcome. I'm going to pick up my papers.
Yes.
I'm going to pick up my papers. I have so many things that I want to know, and I'm really grateful for you know, what you've been expressing. It's really beautiful. And with this trauma, you know, the extent of trauma that you have had, how would you like to see others show up as advocates for women? Because this is where I am, advocates for women and children of domestic abuse. I don't think that people realize what happens to us mentally and to children and to women and men as well. There are boys and men that are abused too. And so how would you like to see others show up as an advocate? I see you as a true advocate.
So I think advocacy starts with believing the survivor, right? Believing the survivor's story. Listen without judgment. Educate yourself on trauma and support organizations that provide resources. It also is about breaking cycles. This has been a hard journey for me as I still struggle with my own conflicts. Helping others in an unsafe environment and including my own children, I've had to make decisions, right? As I'm not a perfect mother by any means, I don't plan on being a perfect coach, but I've had to learn to recognize and sometimes make tough decisions so my own children don't grow up healing from unhealed trauma from what they had to survive, right? And so yeah. I just really think that it starts as the coach of believing and educating and holding space without judgment.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I've met many people that have said that people don't believe them. They yeah. are told that they're liars, that they're making things yeah. up. And I don't believe that. I have a hard time with that myself.
Yeah.
Um, there are many misconceptions of DID that keep some people with the diagnosis from sharing their diagnosis. And I wanted to ask you what some of the misconceptions were that you've heard of and what you would like other people to know about the condition.
I love that. Um, people often think that DID it's dramatic or it's dangerous because how it's portrayed in movies. But the reality is much different. Many of us function in our daily lives, and switching parts isn't always obvious. Like, did you notice any of the times that I have switched in talking with me? You've now heard Frank, you've heard Patricia, you've heard Charlie, which is my little. But did you notice?
No.
They've all taken front.
Only when you said this was Frank. I mean, that was.
Yeah, when I pointed
So,
it out.
yeah, you
Mhm.
pointed it out, but no, I did not notice.
So switching between parts isn't always obvious. It's, in fact, for 6 years, most people never even noticed, just like you have not, when I switch. They don't know when they have a different person working on them because I've been so controlled in my healing. Another misconception is that we are broken. And in fact, we are resilient. Our minds have found a way to survive. Do you know how incredible that is? And that strength, that is not a weakness. It doesn't look like an exorcism, and it's not evil.
Right.
We are not on the spectrum of schizophrenia, and we all each have an identity that I can move so gracefully and every single part of me can be shown. And that's why it's been so important that I get this opportunity with you, is because I wanted you to see how easily it is for me to navigate and to move with all of my parts. It's not ugly, it's beautiful.
It really is. And it is a very controlled environment because again, um, these parts were created to keep you safe. You had to turn into someone else or bring someone else to the front, I should say, to survive. And so it is a very controlled, it is a very there's a reason behind what is happening.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. I did want to ask you if you have seen the Prime Video movie. I think I skipped a question here. I have a lot of notes here.
That's
Let me
okay.
take a
Take
breath.
your time.
Yeah. So, okay. So, how would you respond to someone who has doubts about your abilities? I think that's important.
Oh, that is a really great question.
Yeah.
I love this question so much. I'm really glad that you asked it because first and foremost, not it's taken me a long time to get here, right? To be so open about it. Because here's the thing. Not everyone is entitled to my story. Not everyone needs to know everything. So I had to ask myself, when do I tell? I have to scale the situation, right? Is there a plan? Am I prepared for the outcome internally and externally? And do I have support? I've learned to love all parts of myself, which has taken me a really long time. So fuck them. Sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the truth. It is the
Yeah,
truth.
it is. I give no opportunity for anyone to bring me down, to enter self-doubt into my mind, to belittle me in any kind of way. I'm no longer codependent to anyone or on anyone. I am not easily manipulated, and I can recognize gaslighting and controlling behavior, and I spot that a mile away. Um, and I feel like that's really incredible. I've been called crazy so many times from people that have no idea what my story even is. And I no longer care or am afraid of the word crazy. And in fact, I embrace it because yes, I am. I am. And we are all just a little cuckoo up here, but except for Charlie, she's perfect. She's absolutely perfect. And that's okay because I don't even know what normal is, Janae. But also that seems pretty boring to me. I would say that my experiences don't hinder me, they empower me. I've done the work to heal and I continue to grow every day. If anything, my journey gives a unique ability to understand and to support others in that, and in a way that traditional training alone cannot. So, I mean, I just, I'm pretty solid in the ground that I'm walking now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you ask any life coach, honestly, we all struggle. We all
Yeah.
struggle. Everyone has their struggles. Even it doesn't matter how far you are on your journey, life is still happening. There is
Yes.
accumulation of new traumas, of new hurts, of new challenges in life that never ends.
It's never going to
It
end.
never ends.
Mm-mm.
No,
No.
no. And
It's
so,
how I choose to respond now.
absolutely,
Um, that
absolutely.
I walk with confidence, and if that doesn't look what somebody else thinks that it should, or if they want to shunt me because I'm being so open for it, well, then there's the door. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah,
true. I
yeah.
love that. So I wanted to ask you, there is a movie out on Prime Video right now. I've watched it. It's called I Am We. I've watched it twice. And I wanted to know if you have you seen it?
So I haven't seen it yet. It's been on my watch list.
Yeah.
Um, but because of the way my brain functions, I typically don't watch too much TV. I'm a busybody. I'm writing, we're always doing things. And
Yeah.
so I I'm I'm interested in how DID is portrayed in the media. And so I try not to typically get too involved because I've seen some things that have just put a bitter taste in my mouth. And I don't pay attention to much of the media these days, but I am intrigued when it comes to bringing truth. If it has value of what somebody actually lives with DID looks like, then that is what is important to me. I think that it's important that our stories are told with accuracy and respect, and not to betray it as an evil thing. But it is on my to watch list, and I hope it contributes more awareness and understanding in the light of truth versus demonic.
I agree. And it is a documentary, and
Uh-huh.
it's actually a beautiful story. It really is a beautiful story. And she is
So
the
it's
it
a
is it's
story
not
of
it
herself.
is herself. It's a
Oh, I
documentary.
love that.
So they follow her around and
Hmm.
they ask her questions, and she shows and shares about her life. And I feel that that was just a great resource to bring up because there are people
Uh-huh.
here that are listening that do know someone who has DID, or maybe they're
Mhm.
actually in their process of having the courage to either accept it as part of their lives or to bring it out into the open to their families, and
Absolutely,
having
yes.
that resource. Or for those that are just curious, there's a lot of and there's a lot of life coaches and therapists that are watching this, and so it's always a beautiful tool to have in the toolbox, because one of the things that I do want to mention is that um, I'm a life coach, I'm a yoga therapist, but I am not a clinical therapist. So I
Uh-huh.
am not going to take on someone who has DID and treat that person. So there are
But
ethical
Janae,
guidelines.
may I interrupt you for just a second on that?
Sure,
I think
sure.
that I think that you could take on somebody that has DID. I just for me speaking and sharing things that you have an understanding with, that it's no longer so confusing, right?
Right, right, right. And but
But
I feel that sometimes there are people that drop into our lives where we don't have that understanding. We don't
absolutely.
have that. And I believe that it is important to be able to refer clients to clinical therapists as needed, that is something that it's just an ethical decision when any therapist, um I'm sorry, when any life coach or yoga therapist is in a position to where they feel that they just are not equipped, that
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
able to do that. But this movie actually is something that can give us more understanding of what this is and how it works and how it develops. Because many of us have heard the old term multiple personality disorder,
Yes.
and but we're just thinking, oh, that they were born that way or that they're just crazy, but we don't understand the amount of trauma that it that has
Yes.
to occur in order for that to even develop in someone. So I wanted to ask you for what in life that you are most grateful.
Oh my goodness. That is such a broad question for me. Um I I'm truly grateful for my healing journey. I am grateful that I'm ready to speak loud and open. I'm letting each part of me, I'm grateful for that. Um, for my boys, I'm beyond grateful for the young men that call me mom. They've seen so much, and it's not always been beautiful. And I'm still learning and growing about my parts. They've seen it all. And there are things that I'm not really proud of, but nonetheless, they have been my greatest support system when it hasn't always been fair for them. I'm grateful for my ability to stand today and to say, yeah, I've healed and I'm still healing. For the people who have supported me and for the chance to help others on their journey. I once thought I wouldn't make it through, but now I'm here. I'm thriving. And that's something that I don't ever want to take for granted.
Thank you. And we are at the hour. I still have a lot of questions.
Okay.
And so I feel that I would like to end today's interview. If you decide that you'd like to stay and we can do a part two, I'm open to that. If not,
Girl, let's roll with part two. Come
okay.
on.
All
We
right.
got so much more to talk about. We can't end here.
Hoping that you would say that.
Yes.
So I just want us to sign off here. Well, before I
Okay.
sign off, can you tell anyone who maybe is dying to know how they could get a hold of you? How can someone find you? How can they get a hold of you?
So that's a really great question, Janae. I I'm just jumping in. This is something that I'm ready to do. It's the doors are opening. And so I am building a website. I am creating a blog. Um, Virtually right now is how I would do my coaching via email or even phone call, but I can do this with people, and so that's my options as of right now, but it's gonna open up in the future. I'm just taking it one step at a time, and I'm really allowing the doors to just open up and start fresh.
And that's great. And can they follow you and follow your story on social media anywhere? Because I know that that's
Absolutely,
open. So
absolutely, and
want to
I
share.
wanted to say that as well is I have recently been randomly just dropping a lot of truth on social media, and I'm also creating a blog of tea time truths. So they can follow me on social media. They can get to know me on there because I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep going because I'm not here to hide the hard stuff anymore. I'm here to share it. And I'm here to be proud of it, that we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. And I'm here for the ugly, the dark, everything in between. And I am okay with it. And if others are too, then please follow along.
Awesome. And what is it just your name on are you on Facebook? Is
Teresa
it just
Zemke,
okay?
for right
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So thank you all for watching. I want to thank Teresa for just her openness and her boldness, and as she said it, the gritty, the messy, and the magical, because that's what we saw today. And stay tuned for part 2.
Thank you.